presented by Policybazaar.
CNBC TV 80, the Policybazaar Insurance Show.
Since the start of this special insurance series with Policybazaar, we have focused on how you should go about having the right insurance product for yourself, the right insurance coverage, the exclusions and the inclusions of your insurance policy. Also, when and in what ways can you use your insurance policy most effectively. In today's episode of the Policybazaar Insurance Show, we discuss the true testament of your insurance policy. Claims, isn't that why insurance exists after all? If while buying an insurance policy, be it for your life, health or property, you are under a constant dilemma on whether your claim would be settled in a timely and a hassle-free manner or not, then today's episode might help you clear that doubt. We are joined by, of course, Krishnan Ramachandran, the Managing Director and CEO at Niva Bupa Health Insurance, Anup Bagchi, the MD and CEO at ICICI Prudential Life Insurance, and of course, Sarabveer Singh, Joint Group CEO at PB Fintech. Gentlemen, thank you so much for sparing the time today and being here to discuss this important topic of claims with us on this show. The moot point of any insurance policy, be it for your life, for your health, or for your property. To start with you, Krishnan sir, and starting with the very beginning itself, when a person is going out to buy, let's say, a health insurance policy for himself, what are those few things that he should keep in mind? What should be those few points which he should tell the insurer, which he should know from insurer, and most importantly, how should he choose the insurer?
I think it's a very, very important topic, Yash, as you described. The word policy itself stems from, it's Italian in origin. Essentially is a promise that the insurer makes to the policyholder to fulfill certain obligations. The insurance policy is a contract. It's a contract, and as with any contract, it's incumbent on the policyholder and the insurer to understand what the contract entails in terms of obligations as well as responsibilities or duties to discharge, right? I think the most important obligation, and insurance is a very, very unique contract in the sense that it's based on utmost good faith, which means that I, as an insurer, I enter into a contract with the policyholder based on a set of disclosures. And to your question, what's most important is there are a set of health and lifestyle questions in a health insurance policy which should be honestly and completely answered. So I'd say the most important advice I would have to policyholders is, as you enter into an insurance contract, please disclose everything you know about your health condition and allow the insurer to decide what that means in terms of accepting the risk with certain conditions, or being unable to accept that risk, right? So I think that by far, is the most important obligation. I would encourage all policyholders to understand and discharge. And the last point I'd make is, look, do not outsource this very important responsibility to someone else. A lot of times people sign documents without necessarily reading what they've signed up on.
Signed up for, true.
Now, depending on the channel of purchase, they may or may not know what they've signed up, and a lot of times customers say, hey, listen, I told this to my intermediary, but he did not capture it accurately, right? So that's another source of friction. So please make sure that you read, understand, and sign yourself,
what's written,
right?
Correct.
What's
Correct.
written, and don't outsource that, very important, because this is a guaranteed lifelong renewal product.
Correct.
In the financial services industry, there's no other product of this nature.
Correct.
So you're effectively entering into a marriage. Please make sure that as you would do due diligence in many other situations, you diligence what you're getting into here as well. If you did all of this, I think it's the perfect recipe to make sure that the insurer then is obliged to settle every genuine claim.
Mr. Bagchi, I want to come to you, and it's always good to take a visit into the kitchen of the restaurant that you're going for. It gives you a lot of mental peace. Similarly, for a layman, just to understand what happens at the back end, at the side of the insurer, when it comes to a claim being filed. What is the kind of evaluation which any claim application goes through? And most importantly, what are those couple of reasons, common reasons why a claim gets rejected?
The most important thing, is one should not start your underwriting when the claim comes. Very important. Because you shouldn't start the investigation when the claim comes. So most important thing is that at the time of onboarding, if whatever he said, the customers do, they don't outsource what they have written, they're disclosing everything. In general, what in life insurance industry, if you look at the claim settlement ratios, etc., they are very, very healthy. In our case, for example, it is 99.3%. We are settling it in 1.2 days average. So what are the common reasons when this differs or when there is? So there are two things. One is, if there is a natural incidence as per the contract, it does get paid out. There is no, and the numbers also, and not just our number, general industry numbers are very, very good. Whenever there is a disclosure which is at a very, very highly deviant from the incidence that has happened, that is where the claims gets problematic. Second, we also see frauds. That is where the claims get things. So we have a situation whenever there is a claim of rejection is there, it goes to another senior group where it is again assessed that nobody should be, it should be fair, it should be settled fast if there is no issue. Okay. From the documentation perspective, as you said, what goes behind. So because ours is a more 0-1 situation, both by way of health or by way of a death. So essentially, death certificate, then all the details of the claimant, and the KYC has to be done. And if it is a house or a hospital and natural death, then those certificates. But if it is an accident or a suicide or things like that, which is not normal, then those things, the police verification, the FIR, those are also taken into account. It is just to have a backup of fairness.
Sarbvir, I want to understand something from you. You have a very unique situation, right? You are talking to policyholders, to potential customers directly through, of course, your portal and also human intervention in certain cases. How do you ensure, being in this very critical position between the insurer and the policyholder, that you give everything out of the policyholder to the insurer, and then the insurer gets everything that the policyholder is supposed to give it to him?
Yeah, Yash, I think it's a very important point. And as they say in the insurance industry, that the distributor is the first underwriter. Correct. In a way. And I think we take that responsibility at Policybazaar very seriously. And if I can break your question, there are two types of policies that we sell. One is unassisted, where a person buys on their own. Now there, what we try to ensure is that we cover what is covered in the policy, what is not covered, and also what are the common areas of claims, problems. For instance, in motor insurance, we know that the no-claim bonus is a confusing issue, right? For a customer, many times, there can be a genuine confusion as to what it is. Correct. So we will verify the no-claim bonus at least 2 or 3 times. Once when you buy, then again after you bought, and then maybe a third time, depending on if there is any concern. So we, because of the fact that we've been at it for 16, 17 years, we have a very good sense of what are the issues. So even in an unassisted case, we would verify. Now, when it comes to assisted, which is actually life and health insurance, there we have a person in the middle, right? So our advisor, his or her main job is to first of all understand what is the need of the customer. Because if you ask me, problems at claims actually start from the front end. They don't really start at the back end, right? So you have to make sure that the front end is logical. You have understood the need of the customer, advise the customer appropriately. And then I think, as has been discussed before, we need to make sure that the disclosure is complete. And what we do is that because we speak on recorded lines, so every conversation in Policybazaar is recorded, and that recording is maintained for 8 years. Okay. So even if at the point of claims, there is any dispute between what the customer said or didn't say, that can be brought up and can be actually discussed. Second thing that we do is that now we have built an AI model, which actually, because we transcribe the conversation, we are able to see whether there was a discussion of a disease or not. And if there was a discussion of a disease, we check against the proposal form as to whether it was put in the proposal form or not. And if it wasn't, then we again, engage with the customer. So what we are trying to do is to bring, as you correctly said, our role is to make sure that the disclosure that the customer is making is faithfully represented to the insurer. And a second role, which is equally important, is to explain to the customer that this is the right time to speak. That do not, like for instance, I'll give you an example. Many times companies give us the feedback, why are you telling us that this person broke his leg 6 years ago or something? Now, it may matter, it may not matter. But see, we cannot go into these subtleties. We have to say, you tell us everything and let the insurance company decide. If breaking a leg 6 years ago is not important, let it pass. But we are trying to be very, very, I would say, faithful. And I must say that, over the years, we have tried to build this culture into our sales team that disclosure is important and making a mistake on that is not acceptable.
Christian sir, I had a little bit of, it's just out of curiosity. Now, generally in health insurance, the most common, disclosure that you would ask anyone would be, are you a drinker or are you a smoker? Then your, of course, risks are different, premium is different. How do you sort of categorize into someone being a smoker from someone who must have smoked once in 3 months, let's say at a casual gathering, let's say at any social event, or must have had some alcohol at some social event, but is not a drinker? How does the disclosure in these two cases work?
I just want to reiterate what has already been mentioned by all three of us in some sense, that please do not use your discretion or judgment. Whatever it is, answer it completely, honestly. Small, big, do not use your judgment. Let the insurer decide. And I think that's the best way to make sure that you get what you need when it comes to claims.
Okay, that's a very important clarification, because I'm sure a lot of people would have that doubt. Mr. Bakshi, I want to understand something. Now, contrary to a health insurance contract or a policy, life insurance is relatively longer term contract. And, the another different point from a health insurance policy is that while taking a life insurance claim, it won't be you who's taking the claim. It will be your family. How should one or what should one keep their family informed about with respect to life insurance policy? And what does the insurer, the role of the insurer be in a situation like this, where let's say a family hasn't reached out to you for whatever reason, they were not being informed about the policy or whatever could be the reason? How do you proactively sort of take that step to reach out to them and give the rightful claims?
No, very, very, very important point, Yash. And so, a couple of things here. One is that just adding on to his point that, trust is very, very important. The counterparty, the institution from where you are taking the policy must be around for a long period of time and must have track record of settling well. I think it's very, very critical. Second is we always advise our clients, we send them videos, we send them communication. Please, please, please share it, share the policy with your near and dear ones. Because we do come across situations where there are unclaimed insurance lying with us, and we work very hard to bring it down. And I must say that IID has been very proactively in focusing on it and bringing it down quarter over quarter, year over year. And that number is not very large, but still, even a crore lying with us is not really our money.
Correct.
The issue that happens in insurance is because these are very long-term policies. And let's say somebody has taken in 2000, 2001, Gmail, mobile numbers would have changed, Gmail numbers, the account, the emails would have changed. Very, very important to keep updating that. And that is where we have seen our experience is the cash is a very good model because those are high frequency transactions. So there the updations are faster, bank updations are faster. Okay, insurance updations relatively are slower and people are not so actively engaged with the policy. And so updation of contact details is also critical. Updation of nominee details is or claimants is very critical. And they must know that you have taken a policy.
That's, I think, most important, the family to know and take it on. But on that note, we'll take a very, very short break. Now, on the other side of the break, we discuss how do you file for a claim, how do you go about the process, and importantly, what do you do in a situation where your claim gets denied by the insurer company. Coming back to you with all of that in and after this very short break.
CNBC TV 80, the Policybazaar Insurance Show. CNBC TV 80, the Policybazaar Insurance Show.
Welcome back to the Policybazaar Insurance Show. Saravir, let's start the second segment, and importantly, what do you do in a situation where claim gets denied? Discussing that with you to start with. Exactly that question. In a situation where your claim finds a denial from the insurer, how do you go about this now?
So I think, Yash, obviously that's a moment of high anxiety. So I think the first thing that you have to do is to try and understand why it has been denied, because there is normally a letter or something, communication that you get, where you are able to try and understand what has happened. Once you have understood what has happened, I think you should approach either the intermediary through whom you bought the policy or the insurance company with a request for reconsideration. And almost all companies have a process for that. And there, I think if you can understand why it was denied, then you can try to address that point. Like, let me give you a concrete example. For instance, sometimes it may be said that, let's say, hospitalization was not required. That's why the claim has been denied. Now you need to then attach proof of who you consulted, who asked you to go to the hospital, what happened over there. When you go to a hospital, there are what are called indoor case papers where they would have prepared, your summary, your vitals, everything. And I think you should then present those to the insurance company or to the intermediary. So at Policybazaar, we are absolutely, we have a team which focuses on this issue. You can approach us if you bought through us. And frankly, even if you have not bought through us, you can still approach us. We help a lot of customers, irrespective of where they bought from. And we then help you to prepare your case. See, because the most important thing is to prepare your case to explain what is it that you are saying which is different from what may have been understood.
Absolutely. I think that's a...
Yeah. And once you're able to do that, then what happens is that, as I told you, insurance companies have a system, they have a process, they will reconsider the whole thing, and you are then able to present your case. We organize what is called a Samadhan call, where we have the insurance company, somebody from Policybazaar, and the customer on the line together. We look at all the documents. So in advance of the call, we share the documents with the insurance company so that it's not like a ambush kind of situation.
Correct.
Everybody sits together, they look at the documents, and then we arrive at a next step. The next step could be, we need more evidence. Next step could be, okay, we are, sure that your claim deserves to be paid. Or in some cases, they may have to explain why it can't be paid.
Okay.
So this really helps to build confidence and trust in the system. And I think that's the key thing.
Question for both the insurers, of course, Anup and Krishnan sir. In a situation where a claim is getting rejected at the first level itself, at the company level, at the insurer level. You alluded to this point very briefly, but I want to understand this more. Do you think a mechanism of having an external committee, but at the same time it being an internal committee, makes sense? External committee because the members of this committee could be professionals from the insurance industry, but at the same time they look at the claims rejected by a particular insurer to have an independent view on whether the claim should be passed or not. Starting with you, Krishnan sir, as a concept, do you think it should be made mandatory for insurers, life, health, general, to sort of have this kind of a committee?
No, I mean, the straight answer is, it absolutely makes sense. Grievance redressal, claim reconsideration process in the insurance industry has matured significantly, to Sarav's point. And also the authority has placed a lot of emphasis on claims. So today, to your point, Yash, on claims committee, all companies are mandated on health that every rejected claim needs to be reviewed by an internal committee. To answer your question, it makes sense. The regulator has mandated some form of this already. We have matured this to invite external experts already. And I think it just helps build trust in the system. The more of this we do, and the more we are able to demonstrate, to customers.
Absolutely. Anup, how can we add more to this concept?
No, I think in addition to what he is saying, I think one must encourage all insurers on their website and in the communication also encourage, if a claim is getting rejected, is to go to ombudsman. And ombudsman, as you know, are completely third party. It is managed independently, and they are very, very senior, either judges or very senior bureaucrats handling those things. I would strongly encourage that one must go to ombudsman and again put up your case. And and see what happens, because that way you get a finality on the situation, and you get a sense of, you know, whether you are right, whether you are wrong, and you also get a sense of why it has got rejected.
Sarabveer, I want to understand from you. As I said initially in my first remark, you have a very unique role to play between the insurer and the policyholder. We've spoken about policyholders. For insurers, what would be those couple of things that you think insurers can do better?
I think what all of us, I wouldn't necessarily say insurers can do better, because as I told you, the claim is the final moment, right? And the final moment doesn't happen by itself. It happens through a process. So I think it is incumbent upon everyone to try and ensure that the disclosure is absolutely fair. Now, I think to answer your question more directly, I think from an insurer's perspective, and again, from all of us, we need to speak in the language of the customer. So many times when I read the letter which has been sent to the customer, even I am confused, right, as to what has gone wrong. And I understand that obviously, see, it's a legal, and again, just to explain, it's a legal letter, right? Because it has to be written in a certain manner. There are certain liabilities associated with it. But having said all of that, I think the time has come to have communication with the customer in a very direct and clear manner, so that it is very obvious as to what has happened, what has gone wrong, what should the customer do about it, right? And I think many times I've found that I would say 99% of all consumers are actually very reasonable people. They understand what has happened. They, you know, let's say it was an omission from their side, they do get it, and, you know, things can be sorted out.
Correct.
It is when we, you know, for that 1% minority who may be extremely sort of aggressive about things and stuff like that, to save them or to save ourselves from them, we actually hurt the 99%.
Absolutely.
So my request would be to, you know, give everything in a language which is very, very clear and trust the consumer. I think consumers, I have found, are quite sensible, and, you know, they are one of us, right? So they are sensible, and they, you know, they handle things quite gracefully.
Okay. With that, we've come to an end of this very special episode on possibly what's the most important aspect of an insurance policy, that is claims. We hope there was a lot for our viewers in it, and we'll return soon with another very interesting topic very, very soon. Till then, stay safe, stay insured.
CNBC TV 80, the Policybazaar Insurance Show.
Presented by Policybazaar.